All righty, fellas. We're going to get the rest of our morning session going here. And I know some of you are still finding your way in, so I appreciate you doing that. I'm excited to bring up our next speaker, another great friend of mine. I think he's going to bring a good word to all of us. So without any further, I'm going to ask you to help me welcome Steve Stroup. There he is. You want to go down front?
I'm glad he didn't shoot the deputy. You guys fired up? All right, you ought to be fired up. Man alive, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here today. Are you fired up? All right, okay, good. Hey, I'm going to talk about marriage today. You go, oh, I heard it. Oh, we don't need any help there. We've watched Oprah Winfrey. We know what's going on there. We watched Dr. Phil, and in fact, you look like Dr. Phil a little bit. You got the same hairdo. Yeah. Or maybe you're going to tell us what some chick magazine told you. You know, the 10 points. No, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is this. I want us to look at 2 verses today. I want us to see what God says about marriage. I want us to understand that, because here's the deal, guys. We don't do a very good job at marriage because of this. We don't think God invented marriage. We think it came from the IRS. We think it came from the government. We think our president signed a bill into the law that made marriage. Listen to me. God was the one that invented marriage. And in that, all through His Word, He tells us how to do it. Listen to me. As Christian men, if there's one place that our Christianity should shine, is with our wives. Let's try that. Let me run at that again. If there's one place our Christianity should shine, it should shine many places. But the number one place our Christianity should shine is with our wife. Because other than God, our wives are the most important things in our lives. Hold on, let me run at that again. But Steve, I like shooting gophers. Listen to me. Listen to me. Other than God, the greatest, most precious relationship we have is not with our shotgun, not with our fishing pole, not with NASCAR, not with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Woo! I like when you're talking now. See, I come from kind of the Baptist persuasion. They like to say a lot of amens, which is good. Hallelujah. I like it. And when I go to Jamaica, every once in a while I'll go there and I'll teach, and I'll get into an African-American church there. And man alive, they just love it. And they talk right back to you. Hey, speak up, little boy. Hey, fat boy, come on, give us more. Hey, skinhead, what's going on? And so they talk to us a lot, and I really enjoy that. In fact, when you get done and you preach for an hour, they say, is that all you got? Yeah, that's all I got. Well, we want to hear more. We want to hear more. Listen, today I want to look at 2 verses about marriage. Let me run at this one more time. There's one place that our Christianity should show. It's with our wives. So I want to take you to Colossians chapter 3. We're going to be in verses 18 and 19. They're 2 very small verses. But I want to tell you about those. Now, whenever you look at Scripture, One of the things you have to understand is the culture that's going on there. The Apostle Paul writes this, and there's something going on. Marriages were a wreck. Marriages were all messed up in Paul's day. It's much like our day. In fact, let me tell you what was going on. See if these sound familiar to you. There was three main cultures back in those days. The first culture, the big culture, was the Roman culture. Rome was the power of the world. You know what? In that culture, the husband was a dictator. His wife was no better than a servant. In fact, when a baby was born in that family, the baby would be brought to the husband, and if the husband picked that child up, that child lived. If he did not, that child died. He was absolute dictator. Is that the way God wants it to be? That's the type of family I came from. I'm German-Irish. You know, we like to drink and start wars. It's a joke. Not really. I don't really do that. It's a live crowd today. And after Richard, I thought you guys would just be, whoa! Anyway. There was another culture, it's the Greek culture. Now, in the Greek culture, they had a little different slant on marriage. See if this sounds familiar to you. In the Greek culture, once you married, your wife was put in seclusion. She couldn't have anything to do with other men. She couldn't even go to the market unless she had somebody with her. She couldn't even eat with the men. She was all for her husband. You know what? Her husband, on the other hand, could go out and have as many affairs as he wanted to have. You go, well, that sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. There was another culture. It was the Jewish culture. In the Jewish culture, the woman was no better than a slave. That's all she was. In fact, the husband could divorce her for anything. If she got the wrong pizza. Now, I like Tortino's. How about you? You know the stuff that's got cardboard and they just put a bunch of sauce on it? You know what I'm talking about. Tortino's, is that the name of it? Oh, it's good stuff, if it's really pizza. But anyway, they could just divorce him for that reason if they burnt the toast. Hey, I said a fried egg sandwich, not a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You're done. True. Back in those days, when a woman would be divorced, she would be destitute. It was terrible. God said, listen, man. Listen. That's not what marriage is all about. That's not the way I want it. That's not why it was invented. So you could be a dictator. So you could go out and have affairs. That you could treat your wife like a slave. That's not the way it's supposed to be. And for vital men, it should not be that way in our homes. Because he tells us what it's supposed to be like. So come with me. Colossians 3:18, I'll read the first verse. It's very small. It says, wives, submit to your husband as is fitting in the Lord. The key word in that verse is the word submit. When wives see that, the hair on their neck stands straight up. They grab a frying pan. Submit, huh? I'll give you submit. In fact, I'll spell it with you. Bam, 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 bam. Listen to me. The reason they feel that way is because we have done wrong. You know what the word submit means? It means to voluntarily come under. It means to come under voluntarily. This is the same word that was used with Jesus Christ in Luke chapter 2 when he submitted to his parents. The Son of God, who created everything in this universe, submitted. It's the same word that is used when it talks about us submitting to the government, coming underneath the government, paying our taxes like we're supposed to. It's the same word. It's not talking about slavery. It's not talking about the woman as a second-class citizen. That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about coming under. Now, of course, you'll probably tell Mike, man, this was a men's conference. Women are supposed to submit. You know what? I'm going home and I'm dusting off my Bible if I can find it. And I'm going to point this verse out to my wife and tell her, hey, honey, don't do this, by the way. Say, don't do this, by the way. Okay, yeah, don't do this, by the way. Before long, if we talk about this too long, we're going to be ripping our shirts off and doing chest bumps. Submit! Submit! Oh, we love that verse. In fact, we've probably got that keyed in our Bible. Submit circled. Yeah. Yeah, I'm liking this conference more and more. Bring Steve back. Listen to me. Never take one verse without looking before and after. Because look at the next verse. He says, husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. The women are to submit in an environment of love. See, we messed that all up. We're men. We are the leaders. We are to make our homes, our marriages, a place of love. Now, let me tell you what that word love means. Oh, he's talking something. Listen. There was different words in the original language. It's not talking about erotic love. It's not what it's talking about. It's not talking about friendship love. That's not what it's talking about. There's a whole different word for that. No, the type of word that Paul uses, the type of word that God uses is this: self-sacrificing love. It means my wife is more important than anything out there. And it's a decision. I don't know how many times people come into my office and tell me, well, I'm not in love with my wife anymore. This love is not a feeling, it's a decision. And when we stand before our family, when we stand before our friends, when we stand before God and take our vows, this is the love we're using. I will love that woman all the rest of my life. She is more important than I am. That's what he's meaning here. But guys, that's where we miss the boat. I only love her when I feel like it. That's not what he's talking about. I only love it when she makes me a great big spaghetti dinner. Then I love her. That's not what he's talking about here. He's talking about this. It's a decision of the mind. You love her. That means she is more important than you are. Wow. Wow. This love means unceasing care and loving service. It's a choice. It is not a feeling. You know, this is the type of love that carries you through the changes. Now, I know it's hard to believe, but I always did not look like this. You say, boy, we got to see your parents, Steve. There's something. They must have made you too close to a nuclear energy plant or something, man. There's something wrong with you. Listen, when I married my wife, I was 18 years old. I had hair. I weighed about 160 pounds. I had a six-pack. Now, I have no hair. If I took off my shirt, you would think I'd look like Sasquatch. A Bigfoot. And you know what? I have a keg rather than a six-pack. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. You know what? My wife weighed 105 pounds when we got there. I can still see her. I can still see her coming down that aisle. I can still see her in her dress. I can still see my bride. And you know, after 40 years of marriage, our bodies have changed. You can't see so much on her, but you can see what time has done to my body. What I'm saying is this. This is the type of love. On that day, August 19th, 1972, I said in front of my family and God that I would love that woman all the rest of my life. And things are going to change, and things are going to get tough. But I made a vow before God. So did you. So did you. It means a couple things. We talk about it. I kind of broke it down here so we could see it a little bit more. It means this: we are to love our wives. We as Christian men, vital men, are to be radically in love with their wives. Radically in love with their wives. I'm not talking about sort of. I'm talking radically in love with our wives. Man, I'll do anything for her. I love her. It doesn't say understand your wife, because you never will. It doesn't say that. It says love her. I remember when we first got married, I bought a 1972 Vega GT. Remember those cars? Oh yeah, it lasted 40,000 miles and it broke. But anyway, man, I could still see it. It was copper and had a white stripe down there, and it was 4 on the floor. And my wife loved to drive it. She likes to drive sticks. So she went to the store one day, and she came back. She said, "There's something wrong with the car." I said, "Wrong with the car? What could be wrong with the car?" Well, babe, why look at it? Well, I went back there, and you know the thing that's underneath the bumper? The thing that kind of connects to the bumper? It's gone. I'm going, well, what happened? Well, apparently what happened is the driveway to the grocery store wasn't big enough, so she drove over a 20-foot-high mound to get out of the parking lot and rip the back of the car off. I kept on asking her why. Well, I don't know. It was there. I don't know. Well, how about this one? I used to work the midnight shift. And we had court. I had court lots of time. And I'd get up after 2 hours of sleep. I'd come home, go to bed, and I'd get up 2 hours of sleep, and I'd just kind of stagger around. You know how it is. You stagger around the house. And I got in the tub. I'm trying to wash up, so I go to court. And I grab a washcloth, and I wash my face with it, do my ears, and wash my hair, you know. I'll see you later. Anyway, here's the... And then I see my wife coming up the stairs, and there's a look of horror on her face. She said, "You didn't use that washcloth, did you?" I said, "Yeah, I just washed my face with it." She goes, "Oh." She goes, "I just cleaned up Junior's dirty diaper with it and cleaned the toilet out with it. Now, why would you put a washcloth right back there where it's supposed to be?" No. We're to love them, not understand them. Or how about this one? I was just thinking of these when I was writing this. My wife used to, when I was working the midnight shift, I'd get up at all sorts of time to eat dinner. So what she did one time is she took a plate and she made ribs, mashed potatoes, and corn. It was good. Well, I didn't eat it that. She put it in the oven. It was the summertime, so we were cooking out and stuff. So we were cooking out days and days after that. Well, I got up one day after working the midnight shift. And anybody's working midnight, you know what I'm talking about. I got up and went to the kitchen because usually she would put my plate in the oven. So I went in there and grabbed this plate, put it out, and I ate the whole plate. And so she came home. She found the plate sitting in the kitchen. She came in the bedroom with a look of horror on her face. And said, "You didn't eat that plate." I said, "Yeah, it's a little dry, but it wasn't bad." She goes, "It's been there for a week." That's what happened to my hair. Now listen. God says, "I want you to love him." Love him. You know what? 40 years later, I still love him. Man, I look at her eyes. She's been to hell and back with me because I have treated her in the past like a woman. And I vow never to do that. Because she is my wife. And I am too. something else. It means our number one concern is our wife to us. It means this also, we are to love them. It means you are set apart for her only. It's not her plus somebody else. It's not her plus pornography. It's not her plus the swimsuit models on Sports Illustrated. It's her, period. That's what it means, man. And that's what we got to do. There's nothing that hurts our wives more than when we're Googling and oogling over another woman. That woman God has given you is you are set apart to her and her only. Get rid of that get rid of that crap that's in your house. You are set apart for your wife and your wife only. It also says here, we are not to be harsh with our wives. We are to love them, not be harsh. The word harsh there refers to something that is bitter in taste. You're not to irritate them. Provide loving leadership in the home. What it means is listening to her. Really listening to her. I'm not talking about sitting on the couch, rubbing your belly, making strange noises. Watching ESPN and she's trying to tell you about her day. Man, you got to listen to her. You know what you'll find out? Is you'll find out that your wife's got a lot of wisdom. You'll find out your wife sees things you never see. Listen to her. When I go home, and I don't do this every night, I try to, but I spend a half hour with her every night. And she just sits there and tells me, and we just talk. She needs that. Now, you and I, we have a great conversation. Me and Clay can get together here, and we can just go, and walk away and say, man, was that a good conversation or what? But listen, it's not that way with our wives. It means leading her. I call this manning up. Take responsibility. Don't make excuses. Guys, we are called to lead our families. We are called to lead our wives. And the way you lead your wife is not to beat her, tear her up, treat her like dirt. You take care of her by loving her and her only. You know? My wife's dad's still alive. He's 80 years old. In fact, in May, we're going to go see him. He lives up in Michigan. When I was dating her, my wife, I was 17. I was not a Christian at that point. Her dad looked like Dick Butkus. He was a printer. He had forearms the size of my legs. And I can remember every time I'd bring Sherry home, my bride would be standing there. I was like a hairless chihuahua. Hello, Mr. Settlers. How you doing? Here's your daughter. Scared to death. And I had a right to be. Trust me. But you know what? I became a Christian. We're good friends. In fact, he's asked me to preach his sermon to his funeral. But you know what? One day, you and I will stand before our God. Every one of us. Every one of us. One of the questions they're going to ask you and me is, how did you take care of mine? How did you take care of the woman? Brethren, I want vital men. I want myself to be able to say, I love your daughter radically. Radically. I loved her. In good times, bad times, sideways times, I always loved her. Man, today, dedicate yourself. I'm going to go home and I'm going to radically love my wife all the rest of my days. Because that's what you and I are called to do. And that's what vital men do. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as we've looked at your word, it's not easy. You never said it was going to be easy. But Father, as I even studied this, got ready for this, I was convicted. I and these men right here, as I lift them up, they want to radically love their wives. Father, would you help us to do that? Would you help us to do that? Because, Father, it's tough. Because everything we see on TV shows us but nothing but morons. Father, you have called us to lead. The way we lead our wives is not what the culture teaches. Father, the way we lead our wives is by loving them. Loving them. Father, help us to do that. Help these men to do that. Let us be vital men